Right. Good morning, good people. Once again, my name is Hendrik Makaneta, and today we are carrying on with our lesson for mathematics, grade 9, the 3rd of July. And I hope that you are ready for the lesson. Please feel free at any time to stop me or you pose a question at any time if there's anything that you do not understand, and then we can quickly look at that. The chat, the group chat as well, please feel free if you have to answer any question, feel free to make use of that as well. And of course, you can also raise your hand and we can allow you to ask a question or to answer. Right, the lesson today, we are carrying on with our equations, being algebraic expressions. And as we have said, the ways we have started about 3 days ago to see the value of the different algebraic expressions. And today I have a table with me here. And of course, this is a table which consists of the expression on the left-hand side, the middle there, or the middle one there, column, the number of terms, and the last one, the name of the expression. Now, if you look at this table, we have the other one, the second one already, we have given the name to the expression. If you look at 3x plus 6, and we say that this is a binomial. So it is very important for you to understand the different terminologies in as far as these binomials are concerned, or the monomials. I've already taught you about 2 days ago about what it means, what is the definition of a monomial, the definition of a binomial, as well as a binomial. And today I want us to look at the number of terms, and then we are going to zoom directly into the first one. So you can see that in the first category there, we have 3xy. So 3xy, what I want to know from you is that how many terms do we have in this expression? How many terms are there in this expression, 3xy? Do we have 3 terms maybe? Do we have how many terms over 3xy? How many terms are there? And then give the name of the expression. So the expression is there, 3xy followed by 3x plus 6, and then how many terms are there? We say this is a binomial. So we have given you the first one, 3x plus 6, it's a binomial. So I want to know what is the name of the expression 3xy, but also the following expressions as well. Let us find different expressions. I hope that you have all right, I see Kamuelo said that the expression with only one term is known as a monomial. The expression with one term is known as a monomial. And Kamal is not alone in this. And of course, Kamal is followed by Amathe, who also agrees that, yes, Amathe also agrees that there's one term, therefore it is a monomial. So I fully agree with you, Amathe, Kamal, as well as Yoliswa. Yoliswa also says one term, and because it's one term, then it is a monomial. Yes, I fully agree with you. So it is one term because it is a product of 3x and y. So if you multiply 3 by x and y there, then the answer will be 3xy. So this is definitely a monomial. Kwezi Mwabe as well has just popped in to say this is a one term and therefore it is a monomial. Thank you very much indeed, Kwezi Yoliswa Amahle and Kamuhelo for answering the first one. So in the second category there, you can see we have already classified our expression as a binomial. We said that this is a binomial, therefore a binomial consists of two terms. So that is what we have there. A binomial has got two terms. Can we now look at the next one?
Right.
Come again. Yes, the second one, of course, is two terms, and then two terms, it's a binomial. So Tando says we have a binomial, and because there are two terms, yes, it's a binomial because it's given as a binomial. The two terms there are 3x as well as 6. And of course, this is what is known as a binomial. And who else? Unkabetse, thank you very much. Welcome. Welcome, Unkabetse. Can we carry on now with the next one? Can we carry on with the next one? Let's look at the next one. Yoliswa has said that there are 4 terms in the expression there, so I agree with you. There are 4 terms, and Osipo says 4 terms, therefore it is a polynomial. Yes, if you have any expression with more than 3 terms, that polynomial, the name of the expression will be a polynomial. So Unkabetse as well says that 4 terms. Kamuelo also says 4 terms, therefore it's a polynomial because there are more than 3 terms. Remember, 3 terms, it will be a trinomial, right? And then we move to the next one. We have y over 3. Y over 3 there. I see Unkabetse and Brock. Lee says that it's 1 term, therefore it is a monomial. Kamuelo as well as Amate agree with Unkabetse to say that is 1 term. I fully agree with all of you there. Therefore, it is 1 term. So y over 3 is 1 term. Let's now proceed to the next one. We have 3a. I hope that we are not fast. Okay, Kwezi as well says this is a monomial. Y over 3 is a monomial. Unkabetse has already answered the third one, and she says that there are 3 terms. And even Kamuelo agrees that there are 3 terms, therefore it is a trinomial. Lee as well, Tando, Yoliswa, everyone agrees that we have 3 terms. Yes, I also agree. But when we have 3 terms, then we will have what we call a trinomial. So we are now proceeding to the next one, 9x plus 9 minus z. You can see that as well. That is our expression there. And this expression has got terms as well. We want to know how many terms are there. Again, Kamuelo says there are 3 terms, therefore it is a trinomial. Yes, Lee agrees. Kwezi, thank you very much indeed. Amahle says 3 terms and trinomial. Unkabetse as well has said that it is a trinomial. Yes, it is definitely a trinomial. Nosipo says 2 terms, binomial. I'm not so sure. Oh, okay, Nosipo is probably already number 6. Yes. Thank you very much, Nosipo. Unkabetse agrees that it's a binomial. We're talking now about y minus 8. So y minus 8 is a binomial. Amar has just agreed. Lee, I see you are in agreement. So this is a binomial because it has got two terms. So any expression with two terms is known as a binomial. That is what it means to have a binomial. And then the seventh one see, you say it's he agrees that there are 5 terms, the binomial as well. So let us carry on. That's a binomial. I mean, that's a polynomial, sorry. That's a polynomial. So it has consists of about 5 different terms there. That's the expression uh, which is now known as a polynomial. So we have now expressed the different, I see Yoliso as well says that there are 5 terms together with Kwezi, Ambe, and Unkabetse. Those are the last few comments that I can see in the chat or in the group chat. And of course, we are proceeding with our lesson. And just to wrap up the equations to find the different values. Remember, you don't always have to find the value of x. You can always find the different other values. And today we will look at others just to carry on. So as you can see, before we get there, just to check or to test whether our answers are correct. Yes, they are correct. And of course, in this case, we have 3xy, which is a monomial. The other one is a binomial, followed by a trinomial. Then we have a monomial there, trinomial, binomial, and then binomial. You'll realize that the last one has got 3 terms, therefore it's a trinomial. But in the previous case, we have got 5, so it should be a polynomial when there are more than 3 terms. But if it's just 3 here, then it will be a trinomial. I hope that it makes sense. And let me zoom directly into the next activity now, where we need to carry on to solve the equations. Let's carry on to solve our equations, and then we can just look at the different examples. So yesterday and the day before, we spoke about at length about the importance of using the different methods. You can either solve an equation by inspection, or alternatively, you can just use the different, transpose your number there, and you can have an additive inverse if you can, or alternatively, the multiplicative inverse. Today, we have an equation, a very simple equation, y plus 3 is equal to 7. And then all that you need to do in this case was just to solve y. And we have applied the additive inverse of 3, which is -3. So that is why you have y as y is equal to 4. That is the first one that I wanted to zoom directly into, just to take you through the work that we have done up to so far. And the second one, of course, we also have an equation in the form of 4y minus 8, which is equal to 12. And remember all the time that what is important is to make y the subject of the formula. So now 4y minus 8 is equal to 12. So how do we find y in this case? What is the best way of solving for y? The best way in this case will be to use the additive inverse of a negative 8. And in this case, the additive inverse will be positive 8. So you can see that we've now moved the negative 8 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. And this, of course, means that you can now add the 2 because they are like terms. We call them like terms because both of them are constants. 12 is a constant, and then 8 is also a constant. And once you add them together, you get 20 in the right-hand side, and then the left-hand side, you still have 4y. So in order to find y, or in order to make y the subject of the formula, then you have to divide both sides by 4. Whatever you do in the left-hand side should be done also in the right-hand side. And if you divide 20 by 4 there, you'll definitely get 5. Alternatively, by inspection, you can tell that if you multiply 4 by 5, you should be able to get 20. So these are some of the concepts that you need to know when it comes to equations. So these are the fundamental principles. The reason why I'm emphasizing this is that there are learners who sometimes make a mistake of not changing the sign when you transpose a number from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. So please avoid making such mistakes. Note that every time when you transpose a number from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, then it will change the sign. The sign will be either be positive or negative, depending on what the initial sign of the number that you are transposing. Right. We are now going to carry on just to look at the, an equation of this nature where you have to solve now for z. Remember that x is just the popular one, but you can also solve for different variables. In our case today, we have 3 open bracket, 10z minus 5, which is equal to 45. Yesterday, we spoke to one of the learners who said that she was taught, her teacher told her that you need to break the bracket first. I fully agree. There are, we don't have just one method of doing our calculations. So in this case, you can break the bracket, that's okay. So there are different ways. So if you break the bracket, obviously 3 times 10 will be 30 z. And then remember to also multiply the second one with 3. So 3 times 5 will be 15. Remember, it will be negative 15. But if you transpose it to the right-hand side, it will now be positive 15. So if you add 45 and 15, you will get 60. And remember, now that you'll be having 30z, it means you must divide the 60 by 30. And if you divide 60 by 30, you get 2. Or you say rather 30 goes how many times into 60? It goes 2 times, or twice. So the answer there, it means that your z will be 2. That is the alternative way. And this was said by one of the learners yesterday, and I fully agree. But in my case, what I've done here, remember, this is just a monomial. Remember, we just did our expressions. We looked at the monomial, the binomials, and so on and so forth. So when you have an expression of this nature, open bracket, 10z minus 5, close bracket, this on its own is a monomial. So it means you can still divide by 3 both sides. So in my case, I've divided by 3 both sides so that I'm left with 10z in the left-hand side minus 5. And then the right-hand side, if you divide 45 by 3, you will get 15. And remember to transpose the -5 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. And then it will change the sign. It will now be a +5. So hence we have 15 plus 5, which is 20. Now to get rid of the 10, which is now the coefficient of z, all that you need to do is to divide both sides by 10. So if you divide 10z by 10, you'll be left with a z, and then if you divide 20 by 10 there, you'll be left with 2. So meaning that our z there will be 2. So there are many ways. Please feel free to use any method that you are comfortable with. So there are many ways to solve mathematical problems. And then we also have another equation. In this case, z plus 3. I'm just doing a wide range of examples so that when you have to solve, then you know exactly that you have looked at all the methods. So 2z plus 3 plus 2z plus 3 is equal to 5z plus 3. Again, what you need to do, you need to now group the like terms together, and then in this case, our like terms will be 2z and 5z together with 3 and 3 on the right-hand side. So we have 3 on the left-hand side, which is positive. We also have 3 again in the right-hand side, which is also positive. Now you transpose the 5z from the right-hand side to the left-hand side, and you can see it has now changed the sign. So it was positive in this instance in the right-hand side, and when we take it to the left-hand side, it will be negative, hence 2z minus 5z. And then again, you take 3 to the right-hand side, that becomes 3 minus 3, which is 0. Remember, now the coefficient of z is -3. How do you get rid of the -3? You simply divide. So remember all the time that whatever you do in the left-hand side should be done also in the right-hand side. So if you divide -3z by -3, you'll be left with a z. And if you divide 0 by -3, you get 0. So z is equal to 0. Right, and then the next equation consists of the variable k. We have 5k plus 3 is equal to 9 minus k. Once more, it's important to group the like terms or to collect the like terms. You put them on the same side. In our case, k or 5k rather, and k. These are like terms. And just check the sign of the k on the right-hand side. It's a negative. So if you have to now take it to the left-hand side, it will definitely change the sign, which will become now a positive. Hence, we now have 5k plus k. And then if you have to now take the +3 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, again, it will change the sign. The sign will be negative. So once you are at this point, you can now add or subtract your like terms. In the case of the left-hand side, it's 5k plus k, which is 6k. And the right-hand side is 9 minus 3, which is 6. And at this point, you can see, even by inspection, that if you put 1 here, if you multiply 6 by 1, you are bound to get 6. So meaning that the left side will be equal to the right-hand side. So k, definitely, the value of k will be 1. So now that we have found the value of k, we can now proceed to the next equation. Again, 2k plus 3k. This is the new equation altogether. 2k plus 3k is equal to k plus 4. And then again, you group the like terms. And then the like terms together. Left-hand side, 2k minus k. The right-hand side, 4 minus 3. And then we say that 2k minus k is k, and 4 minus 3 is 1. So remember what I said yesterday again is that if you want to test whether your answer is correct, you can always go back to your initial equation or the original equation rather and test by substituting the value of k. Can I ask that someone test whether k is correct in this case by doing the substitution? If you have a pen and a paper, please go ahead and substitute now the value of k in the original equation. No Sipo hand is up. Please go ahead. No Sipo.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, no Sipo.
Sir, so I'm gonna substitute for you, né?
Okay.
Okay. So if I take the 1 and put it in the place of the k, the expression is gonna be 2 times 1 plus the 3, and it gave me a 5.
Okay.
And then on the right-hand side, I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to say 1 plus 4, and it also gave me a 5. So 1 is the right answer.
Exactly. So now you have tested whether the solution is correct by substituting the value of k in the original equation. And I fully agree with you, Nosibo, that in the left-hand side, the value of the expression will be 5, because if you multiply 2 by 1, you get 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. Again, the right-hand side, you'll have 1 plus 4. So 1 plus 4 also gives you 5. So sure, that is the correct answer. So it's very important to always test your solutions just to be on the safe side. But I know that sometimes in an exam, you may not have all the time, to test. I don't recommend testing in the exam, but if you are doing your homework or rather your assignments, I think you may have plenty of time, because sometimes in the exam you are given 1.5 hour or just 2 hours, and within that time space you should be able to complete your exam. So this is just for practice. As you practice on a daily basis or weekly basis, it's important that you test your answers. But mathematics, once again, it's a very practical subject. You need to practice on a daily basis in order to develop the necessary skills to solve various problems. You don't have to do it once in a while. I recommend that you practice almost on a daily basis or every 2 days if needs be. Let's carry on now with the next question there. Yes, no Sipo, there's a question. I see Tabile. In fact, Unkabets agrees with us. Yolisa also agrees together with Eli. They agree with us that the answer there is correct. But Tabile has just made a request, and Tabile is requesting that if Nosipo can just repeat what she has just said in terms of. Can you do it? Are you able to do that, Nosipo?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So, Tabile, what I said was, I substituted the k with the 1 on both sides. I'm gonna start on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side. Sorry. So it's gonna be 2 times 1, which is gonna be 2 plus the 3, and it's equals to a 5. And then when I went to the right-hand side, and I did the same thing, substituted the k with the 1, and the expression was 1 plus 5, and it gave me 1 plus 4, and it gave me a 5. I hope she understands.
Exactly. I hope that Tabile has now understood the explanation by Nosipo. And of course, she has now repeated what she said, and this was a request from Tabile. The request was just put in the chat. Nosipo, I can now understand that is a message from Google to, and even Tabile says, thank you, Nosipo. Great. So now we proceed with the next one. 10r minus 7 is equal to 5r plus 3. In the same note, we have to collect the like terms. Very important. The most important thing to remember is that if you take a number from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, it definitely has to change the sign. So please don't forget. There are learners who sometimes transpose the number. In other words, they take the number from the left-hand side of the equation to the right-hand side without changing the sign of that number. Please avoid those mistakes because you can lose marks, and you will, in the process, you will also probably get the wrong answer if you do that. You must always remember the importance of changing the sign of your number once you take it from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. And the same goes if you take the number from the right-hand side to the left-hand side. So always remember the importance of changing the sign. And of course, this emanates from the lesson that we had yesterday and the day before of using the additive inverse. That is why we call it the additive inverse. If the sign of a number is negative, then if you take it to the right-hand side, it will be positive. That's the negative, that's the additive inverse of negative number. Additive inverse of a positive number is a negative number. The same number, but now it must be negative. So in this case, we have done exactly the yes, Google to I see your hand. It's option. Please go ahead. See, Google to send is up. Right, we will probably come back to Google to. We are now going to group the like terms, and as I've said, if you look at 10r on the left-hand side and 5r on the right-hand side, these are like terms. How do we know that they are like terms? Because of the symbol R. So those are like terms. Once more, -7 and 3, they too are like terms. And why do we say they are like terms? Because they're simply numbers. They are constants. We also call them constants because whatever happens to the equation, these numbers cannot change. In other words, they cannot be changed by the value of R. So if R is 1, -7 remains -7. If R is 2, this -7 remains as it is. If R is 100, the -7 stands. So it is a constant number. So hence we group the constant together as well as the variables together. So now I've grouped 10R and 5R together. Remember, the 5R was in the right-hand side. Now I've transposed it to the left-hand side. As you can see, the sign has now changed. It used to be positive. Now it is negative. I'm sure you all know that 5R is positive. We don't always write the positive if it is the first term of the expression. If it is positive, then we don't put plus 5R if it is the first term. We simply leave it as it is. We know it is positive. The only time when you have to put a sign, that's if it's a negative number. You have to now put it there. Now, now that we have grouped them together, we know that 10R minus 5R will lead to 5R. You simply subtract 5 from 10 to get 5. And then the constants added together now will be 3 plus 7, which is 10. Remember that the negative 7 on the left-hand side, once you take it to the right-hand side, it will now change the sign. It will no longer be negative, but a positive number. So 3 plus 7 is 10. And then just by inspection as well, you should be able to see at this point that if you multiply 5 by 2, you will get 10. Alternatively, you can just divide both sides by 5. The rule in mathematics is that whatever you do in the left-hand side, you should also do in the right-hand side. Why do you have to do, who can tell me maybe, just to answer this question, why do you have to, if you do something in the left-hand side, you must also do it in the right-hand side? What is the reason behind this? Who can tell me? Why do you have to do that? Why must you always, whatever you do in the left-hand side must also be done in the right-hand side? Why is that? Right, the answer to that is that you need to keep your equation balanced at all times. Remember this equal sign, equality, is from the word equal. It means that the left-hand side must always be equal to the right-hand side. So you have to balance your equation. Once you have an equal sign, it means, or once you have an equation, it means the left-hand side is always equal to the right-hand side. If you do it in the left-hand side, you must also do the same thing in the right-hand side in order to keep the equation balanced. Otherwise, if you do one thing in the left-hand side and forget to do it in the right-hand side, your equation will not be balanced. Again, this will lead to a wrong answer, and you can be penalized, you can lose marks in an exam if you do that. So of course, the last one there, R is equal to 2. Just to give you another opportunity, we are going to now solve the last exercises in today's lesson. Excuse me, just to find the value of Z. I've deliberately put in Z here because I'm testing, or I want to test your skills, but also to test your understanding in as far as this lesson is concerned. I want you to now solve for Z in each case. Different activities, and in each case, please find the value of Z. If you can find it by inspection, that's okay. Alternatively, you can just solve it by using the methods that we've done. I see that you are probably busy now. The chat is still off. I don't see any comment yet, but let me give you this opportunity to reflect on the different activities. If you are done, please, by all means, just raise up your head, or you can put your answer in the group chat. Let us engage on the solutions. These are equations once again. Let's get on. Right. We are now, I see Nosipo is already, in fact, not only Nosipo, but there are 2 learners already. Lee has already done the first one. Lee says that the answer there will be 40. The value of Z is 40. And I see there's no name. I just see the picture there. Nosipo as well has found the answer to be 40. I see Nosipo has actually gone to the extent of showing how do you find 40. The Tando Gubani also found 40. The Kwezi has also found 40. And Unkabete as well. Let's now go. I see Kamuhelo as well as 40. 200 divided by 5. Great. So I fully agree with you. Very important. You will definitely get 40 because what you do, you just simply transpose. What I've done here, if you can check, initially I took negative 5z to the right-hand side, and then I just swapped, because 200 is equal to 5z. It's the same as saying 5z is equal to 200. And at this point, once you are at this point, you can either use, the formula by dividing both sides by 5, or you can just check by inspection. You can see a number that if you multiply 5 by the number, you must get 200. So that number is 40. 5 times 40 gives you 200. Or alternatively, if you divide 200 by 5, then you will get 14. So that's the first one there. And I see that Nosipo, Onkatse, Tando, and Kwezi have already done B. And all of you there have got different answers. Nosipo and Tando have got the same answer, -7, and then Kwezi and Lee have 7. So there are 2 different answers there. The difference is the negative number. Unkabet says 7. So 3 people agree that it is +7. And then only 2 say it is -7. But let's test. I have -7 myself here. How do I find -7? Let's test. If you have 5z plus 40 equals, yes, most people send this up. I hope she wants to probably clarify something. There are those who have +7, there are those with a negative. Nosipo, please go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, so I checked the -7, the +7, sorry, and when I checked it, it gave me a 25, a 75 instead of the 5. So when I checked the -7, the -7 gave me a 5.
Okay, so you agree now that -7 is the correct answer.
The right answer, because when you substitute the +7 with
Yes.
when you substitute z with the +7, it gives a 75. But when you substitute with the -1, it gives a 5.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm glad that you managed to test it. Thank you so much, Nosipo. Very important. I'm so happy. Nosipo has taken the time to test whether they should add 7, and she realized that if you put 7, you will, in the left-hand side, you will have 75. Because remember, 7 times 5 is 35, and then if you add 35 to 40, you get 75. So I like what you have just done, Nosipo. And now if you take a -7 and substitute it in the equation, you'll have 5 times -7, which is -35. And -35 plus 40 will give you 5. So that is the most important thing, that every time when you have an answer, please try to test whether that answer is correct by taking it back to the equation, or rather by substituting the answer that you got in the original equation. So thank you very much indeed, Nosipo. Very impressive. So the correct answer will be -7 in this case. All right. And then I see that, thank you so much, Unkabetsi. I see Unkabetsi also has corrected herself. And then the next one, you can simply just subtract 5 from 200 to get 195, and 195z there. If you divide both sides by 195, you are bound to get 0 there. And again, if you test 0, if you put it in the equation, you'll see that if you multiply everything by 0, you will get a 0. Therefore, the left-hand side will be equal to the right-hand side. And then in D as well, we also found that the value of Z will be a -30. The reason being, if you substitute it here, -30 plus 40 gives you 10. And then 10 times 5 is 50. Therefore, 50 in the left-hand side will be equal to 50 in the right-hand side. And the last one, of course, was E. You can check there. I'm just finalizing E because of also our time. You now use the inspection, or you can observe by inspection. Alternatively, you can apply the method of transposing the numbers, grouping the like terms together. So the last one, I've taken 40 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. And then if you take it to, it's positive on the left-hand side, then it will be negative on the right-hand side. So 50 minus 40 is 10. And then if you divide both sides by 5, Z will be equal to 2. So this actually brings us to the end of today's lesson. And of course, feel free at any time to send any questions to our email address, stemdigitalschool@africateengeeks.co.za. This lesson was brought to you by the STEM Digital School in partnership with the Sasol Foundation. Until we meet again on Monday, please have a good weekend.